All right, welcome back. First Charged Up is continuing to be played through this offseason, and we're just coming off one of the biggest FRC offseason competitions, the All-Star Game of FRC, some like to call it, the Indiana Robotics Invitational, otherwise known as IRI. We will take a look at exploring new field carpet tested at Summer Heat a couple weeks ago, IRI Alliance Selection and the shot clock that was added, as well as possible ways to rebalance and optimize time at events. All of this and more coming up on this episode of FRC Round Up.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. At Kettering University, over 30% of the student population was in high school robotics. These same students have received a portion of over $7 million in FIRST scholarship. Scholarship applications will open in September. Get ready to go pro and get more information at kettering.edu/first.
All right, welcome to the show. If you have not caught our show previously, FRC Roundup is where we take a look at important topics currently happening in FRC, highlight some discussion points about events that may have happened, strategy, or anything that correlates with FRC. If you're the fun community, think that there's a topic that we should cover on FRC Roundup, please feel free to ping me on the Fun Discord. I've been more than happy to take a look at it. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Nick Mathis, currently in the 1st and Michigan region, and I'm a design mentor for Team 33, the Killer Bees out of Auburn Hills.
And I'm Connor McBride, mentor for Team 166 Chop Shop, MC and game announcer in the New England District. Our guest tonight is Tyler Holtzman. Tyler is a senior design engineer at Lakeside Custom Machinery and is the lead mentor and drive coach of 2056 OP Robotics. Tyler, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. So topic one, we'll be jumping right into Connor. I'll let you lead this one because you were directly involved with the event at which it was tested at. So I'll go ahead and throw it to you.
Yeah, so this was actually a really nice surprise. So at Summer Heat, which is an off-season event in just north of Portland, Maine, FIRST was testing out new field carpet. I showed up to the event and I didn't know that they were going to be doing it until I saw it. And it looks actually like it. Pictures don't really do it justice. It looks very pretty. So for those that probably, a lot of people probably don't know this, the carpet that FIRST has been using for years, who knows how long, got discontinued. So my knowledge is that FIRST is actually is looking for new field carpet and will have new field carpet for the 2024 season. Something that I noticed, the carpet is just slightly thicker. So whether if that means that the carpet is going to be a little bit more durable now that a lot of teams have swapped over to a swerve drive, who knows? The carpet seemed to hold up pretty well for like over 25 qual matches plus a full double limb bracket. The biggest concern that I had, which I'm pretty sure is probably going to be a concern with HQ, gaff tape did not stick to the carpet at all. You basically could have laid a sheet of 8.5 by 11 printer paper and it would have done the exact same job. So what you see there on screen is that they went to Home Depot and got spray paint and they spray painted the field lines onto the carpet. The paint held up extremely well. We didn't have to do really any like field maintenance. There wasn't anyone that had to go run onto the field and go like replace gaff tape or go rip stuff up or whatnot. So like field lines, like it was very like maintenance free. So it felt like that there was some kind of like wax coating or something on top of that carpet. I know the carpet is custom made for FIRST. So whether or not if they go back to the drawing board and they're like, hey, like if there was a coating on it, like, hey, can we get it without the coating? But I think overall, the carpet looks nice, but I'm still a little hesitant as to the carpet, and I'm sure robots probably drove differently on it because it's a different texture, probably a different coefficient of friction. But I'm curious to what you guys have for thoughts.
Yeah, so I guess initial thoughts. I know when you had posted this, the first question that I'd asked was, do you have the brand and the manufacturer? Because I guess a lot of people are going to be asking that. From my perspective, and I did not realize this at first, but I realized that this is not the case. At least in FIM, every single event that we go to gets brand new carpet every time. And I recognize that is not the case across all districts. I did not know that. So I don't actually mind the spray painting idea, because then it's just going to, lead to more consistency across the event, because it won't be falling up and being retaped. So I'm cool with that. Where I get concerned is, if there is some sort of coating on it, if that coating gets rubbed off, then the coefficient of friction changes depending on what spot of the field it's in. So if you're in a common spot and that part wears down, I mean, it's the same with regular carpet, but maybe that could be escalated. The other issue that I have with it is, if there's a hole or anything that happens in the field, what would be the plan to patch that hole, right? If we can't use gaff tape, that's been the procedure for the past couple of years. So I guess out of first, I would hope that they'd be making this decision sooner rather than later, like September, hopefully. So that way they can get this info out to teams, and hopefully teams can get, their hands on the new carpet and, go from there. But those are my initial thoughts on it. Tyler, I didn't know if you had anything to add.
I mean, if gaff tape doesn't stick to it, how are they joining the two rolls together in the middle?
Yeah, that's my other thought.
Taping it from the bottom. I think it's the sheer weight that's holding it right now. Like, I think we're fortunate that we have those charging stations where they are. So, but like if we had a game like 2014 where there's no like field structure really touching the carpet, that could spell trouble. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see in what they had done at Summer Heat, because it looks like they attempted to use gaff tape there, but I didn't know if there was any like further adhesive that had tried to be used to solve that issue. But
yeah, that seems sketch. The paint seems like a great idea. Like, how many times have we had matches get disrupted by a big wad of gaffer's tape getting stuck in someone's wheel? Like, there's the infamous tape gate story from RC at the championship, where the gaffer's tape cost him Worlds, and that sucks. But
I had something similar at New England District Champs this past year.
Yeah,
with my alliance. Yeah.
So like getting rid of the tape, that's good, but we still need to patch holes, and we still need to join two rolls down the middle. So, so a little needs a little more thought there.
Just to kind of add on a little bit, so like my biggest concern with paint is, so like New England, what we do, field carpet is used it gets swapped out every other event. So you need to make sure that you get those, that you paint those lines exactly where they need to the first time, or else you're going to have lines that aren't where they're supposed to be, and that could potentially be some odd discrepancies with referees. You might see some off.
That was my first concern with the paint. Now, like I said, it doesn't necessarily matter for FIM, at least, because we get we get new carpet every time. But in your case, like the field would have to be placed in the exact same spot.
Yeah, so like
is
Tyler,
impossible from
if you don't mind going back to that photo with the charging station, you'll kind of see in the Red Alliance loading zone, like just past that like little half wall, there's two red lines that run parallel with each other, that run perpendicular to the field. So they thought that the wall was supposed to go somewhere else, but then it ended up going, where it's actually supposed to. So, I mean, if that was like say, for example, like the actual like Alliance zone marking was that further back line, but then they saw that one and like, oh, that could be a misinterpreted penalty that could cost a match. The big thing for me is that if the carpet has to be reused for multiple events, you have to line that field up perfectly in line with those painted lines.
Yeah, for sure. All right, jumping into our next topic, topic 2, looking at the IRI Alliance Selection, IRI as a whole. Tyler and I, both of our teams were fortunate enough to compete there this past weekend. All of us, Tyler beating us all again for the 4th time in a row, but so I guess I'll start off. Overall, IRI, great weekend as always. Definitely one of the more entertaining FRC events that we I and as well as my team get to attend every year. Very fortunate to be invited again this year, but made a lot of robot modifications in between the championship and IRI. Got to preview those at Big Bang, and then really this past weekend at IRI. And I just want to give a quick shout out to Team 245. They got a relatively fortunate schedule, but did not really make any mistakes on that fortunate schedule. They still took care of business and were consistent throughout qualifications and earned the spot to be ranked in the top 8. And we were fortunate enough for them to pick us. And then we were able to get, in my opinion, 2 steals of Robots, 27-67 Strike Force, who, I think lost all of their matches on Friday, so they were like ranked 4th from the bottom, but were top 15 in cycles and numbers in our data at least. And then 60-45 Saber Robotics, another great cube robot. We were super stoked to get them. And then, once we kind of had the collection and talked with 245 going into the elimination rounds, 245 said, hey, I think it's best for our alliance that we actually sit out and play Saber Robotics, which I thought was, it takes a lot of pride to do that and a lot of will to win. And I think that was really cool of them to do that for our alliance, because they, we agreed collectively that would be the best way to give our alliance the best shot to win. And I thought that was really cool of them to do that. So I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Tyler also posted the IRI recap video that Fun produced. So be sure to check that out on YouTube. Released that a couple hours ago. But like I said, Tyler, you got to win for the 4th year in a row. Got to play with Jack in the Bot, which is a pretty big deal. Another great team that, me and you being from the east side of North America don't get to play with 2910 too often outside the championship. So what was it like playing with Patrick and Midnight Ventures, and your overall thoughts on the weekend?
Yeah, IRI is always a blast to have so many top competing teams under one roof, and every match is a battle. Like there's no easy matches and quals. Every time you're fighting for a win. For us, first time playing with Jack in the Bot, and it was great. They were solid. They were super solid the entire elimination tournament. Usually we're the ones that aren't the ones having technical problems or mechanical problems. But for once, we were on an alliance with someone who is more solid than we were. So
Right.
that was pretty awesome. And to play with Patrick, he's a very very reserved, very calm, very
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
very reserved individual. So it was nice to get to play together. It's so funny. There's this photo from right after the score of finals 2 goes up, and I'm like, yeah, and Patrick's like straight face.
That's awesome.
That's
funny.
Yeah, it was a blast. A battle as always. We were super fortunate. We had a whole pile of amazing teams to pick from in the second round, and to play with 1923, who had a very specialized role in the elimination rounds, was pretty cool, and it made for a very unique and balanced alliance. So that was a lot of fun.
Hey, Tyler, if I can ask real quick, you guys played Super Duper, I think, in your second match. What was the reasoning, or what happened? Did anything happen in 1923 to make that decision?
Yeah, they had a technical problem in the first match and just needed a little extra time to get it straightened out. So Super Duper was, Super Duper. They came in, filled the role great. Yeah, super duper to play with.
That's a good way to put it.
Our score with them was pretty much the same as it was 1923 throughout the event. So we were very fortunate that fourth or third round pick, we were looking for kind of an all-arounder robot who could fill in if one of us had a technical problem, and they were ready to go at a moment's notice, and they filled in beautifully for Midnight Adventures while they were out. So yeah, big thanks to them as well.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess one of the hotter topics in general that was posted Friday morning, it was mentioned that there was going to be a change to the alliance selection and the process in which it happened. So if you're not familiar with what exactly happened, they had essentially initiated a shot clock. Is I guess more or less what happened. So each alliance had 1 minute to pick their respective partners, and it was each round. It was not 1 minute over the entire alliance selection. It was 1 minute per pick. And once the pick was announced, that's when the timer had ended. So, I thought it was interesting. This has been a discussion amongst the community for a while now on doing something like this. And then I guess for the people that don't know, the penalty was if you were to go over the minute, each alliance got a respective 10 minutes on the full-size practice field at IRI in between the alliance selection and the elimination round starting. So that was where the penalty was. So if you went down, they would be subtracting the time from that. Not all alliances decided to utilize that time. But Connor, I guess from a audience member without being there. Obviously, Tyler and I were there, but I know you weren't. What did it? What is your opinion on the Alliance selection that happened at IRI? And then we'll go ahead to Ty and I's opinion as well.
No, I'm still here. I think Nick died. Do you want to say that one more time, Nick?
Yeah, I was just going to say, as an audience member, you were there. What was your overall thoughts about the Alliance selection and, changes or additions that you would have made?
Yeah. So, I mean, IRI is always one of like one of the most fun events to watch, right in line with watching Chessie Champs. I love the rule change of doing a legacy draft at first, going 1 through 8, 1 through 8, and then 8 through 1. Just being able to reward that number 1 seed Alliance. I thought Alliance selection went relatively exactly how I thought it was going to be honest. I think once I saw 2910 sitting pretty comfortably at that number 1 seed, I was like, all right, I think I know where this is going. I loved watching it. I don't necessarily like the rule change that they did with adding that shot clock. I have a massive gripe with not necessarily adding it. The fact that it was added literally hours before load in. That's my gripe. I run an off-season event in New Hampshire, and we always like to say, like, all right, we want to have a certain deadline of, like, if we're going to make any rule changes need to happen by this point. Mm-hmm. Especially if it was like I mean, granted, this one is just the Alliance selection process of adding another twist to it. But if you're like, if it's like a rule that physically alters the game, like for our off-season event that we hosted in 2019, we added you can as long as you can fit cargo in the cargo ship, it counts.
Interesting.
So yeah, we called it if it fits, it ships.
There you go.
Yeah. But I think you need to be able to you need to have rule changes laid out like crystal clear. You need to be able to give teams the amount of time to be able to really like digest those rule changes and being able to create any kind of game plan that might be different from their actual competition behaviors. And this is definitely one of them. I think I'm indifferent a little bit on actually adding a timer, because yes, it does help things move along, but there are ways that we can make this better, like not having the students on the field and maybe still have that shot clock, but not putting that upfront and personal added pressure to your Alliance representative.
Mm-hmm. Ty, what's your overall thoughts on how it went or changes that could be made moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great to announce it the day before, but in the grand scheme of things, it was such a small change and such a negligible penalty that it really didn't matter. Like, okay, so you went 5 minutes over and you get 5 minutes less practice time. We didn't even go to the practice field, so it wouldn't have mattered to us. In the grand scheme of things, Alliance selection generally proceeds on time, and this isn't a huge, issue in the first place. Now there are a select few events where there have been instances where teams have taken an exorbitant amount of time to make a pick, but generally those teams that are taking a super long time to pick aren't like unprepared rookies who are out in the elimination rounds the first time. It's some middle tier team who wants to take 15 minutes to debate the finer points of the 24th pick of the draft instead of just making a decision. So there needs to be some reasonable limit and there needs to be some reasonable penalty. In my mind, 1 minute is more than long enough to pick. Having students on the field for the Alliance selection is a historic part of FRC and a big part of the tournament in general. And I think that should stay there. But teams can support their students from the sidelines with a whiteboard or with a text or with whatever. So it's really the teams that need to be prepared to support their students in, a decision like that, not just leaving little Jimmy or whoever your alliance captain is out there to fend for themselves. Generally, they make picks relatively quickly. It's the teams that are debating it ad nauseum that are really holding up the process, not the random number 5 rookie seed who's first time in the elimination rounds.
Yeah, so, one unique thing that was brought up on CD, it was either yesterday or the day before, is that it does hinder the time that your alliance gets to strategize. But I thought one thing that was unique is moving alliance selection after lunch and then giving like a half hour and then starting. So I don't know how I necessarily would feel about that, because I know like at least 33, like we spend our entire lunch strategizing with our alliance. We don't really ever get lunch on Saturday. It's just the way it is. It's the way we've done things. But so I don't know how that would necessarily solve it. It would at least give teams, in this case, a little bit more time to prepare. Although we do have Friday night at most events, MSC is the first one that comes away. We select on Friday night, not Saturday morning. But so that, could probably provide some time. But I agree with you, Ty. I think there does need to be some sort of limit. I just don't know exactly what the best answer is in terms of, the time limit or what would need to be added from that standpoint.
I personally would love to have that lunch break and then alliance selection, mainly because my drivers are always famously known for not hydrating and not eating at a competition. So just to be able to get something in their stomachs, really. But there's a number of ways that we could do this, and I'd be happy with a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. Well, before we go ahead and jump into the final topic of the night, we'll go ahead and bring Tyler on to talk about our show sponsor, Kettering University, and start our giveaway from our friends at the Thrifty Bot.
Yeah, we're going to be giving away a t-shirt from Thrifty Bot this week. So thanks a lot to Thrifty Bot for providing that. Don't forget to type in the keyword very thrifty in chat. Type that in right now. That's your opportunity to win. And you'll be able to select multiple sizes are on here as well, too. So just let me know if you win what size you want, and we'll get that out from ThriftyBot. Very thrifty. Our channel subscribers, I got to do this a little bit differently since we're not on Twitch. If you are subscribed to the channel, just like click that little subscribe button on YouTube, you'll have a 3 times luck to win on this giveaway, and I'm hoping the giveaway works all right too. So type in very thrifty right now. That's your opportunity to win, and we'll be drawing for that after our next topic as well. By the way, thanks a lot to our friends at Kettering University for all their support of First Updates. Now, hey, if you're looking for an opportunity to get some awesome scholarships, Kettering University scholarships will be opening up in September. Make sure you go to kettering.edu/first to see what scholarships they have available, up to $5,000 per year for first students as well too. And don't forget that up to 30%, or I should say over 30% of students who were in high school robotics go to Kettering University as well too. That's what includes their student body. So make sure you check out kettering.edu, and don't forget the Kettering Kickoff FRC events will be happening, I believe, in September as well too. Off the top of my head, they have 2-day events. The First Updates now will be out there as well too. So go to kettering.edu/first to learn more about what Kettering University has to offer.
Yeah, just a subtle plug, Kettering Kickoff. There was an email that went out from Gail to all the First and Michigan teams. So if you did not get that, be sure to check out the Kettering website, as well as shoot Gail an email. Those invites the application link did go out earlier this week. So jumping into our final topic of the night, inspired by a thread that Ben Martin had created on Chief Delphi. Basically a branch of what was discussed in relation to the IRI Alliance Selection, or trying to rebalance or optimize time from events in general. I thought this was a good topic that is relatively hot in the community right now that we could bring up to discuss. So Ben essentially had gone through and, some items that he listed, some time savers or quality of life improvements. He listed it. My biggest gripe in if we are dead set on trimming events down, which in my opinion, I think it's fine the way it is. But I know that there are some people who have issues with how long events run. The biggest one to me is decreasing the amount of time that is allowed for opening ceremonies. In Michigan, all the districts, I don't know if it's the same, but I believe it is. It's a half hour Friday, half hour Saturday morning. It does not need to be a half hour both days. If they wanted to do like a half hour one on Friday and then a short one, quick 5-minute one on Saturday, I think that would be fine. Although it does not, I don't think it needs to be that. So I think that's one spot where we could trim time. I know, the argument is going to be that sponsors want to talk and whatnot, but in my opinion, if we're going to trim time, that's where it should start. He also mentioned about holding the drivers meeting somewhere that is not the field. Then teams can use the field for camera calibration or measurements during that time. Not sure how I feel about that one, because at least in my experience, most of the people that are calibrating the camera or would be responsible for doing those measurements are also on the drive team. So I don't, like having those two directly correlated. The big one for me that I really like, and it has been my argument for years, is if the field's functional, leave it open as long as the venue is open for tethered practice or extended practice match time. There is no reason, at least in my opinion, that Thursday night after they run practice matches at a district or Friday night after matches are completed, if the field is in a functional state, to allow teams to come out and tether their robots to run autonomous or anything of that sort. At least in my opinion, most practice fields are pretty subpar to what is actually needed for accurate autonomous routine testing or anything of that sort. And it's, autonomous routines do vary from field to field. So instead of, teams wasting their first 3 to 4 matches trying to tune in autonomous routines, let them tether Thursday night and, be able to run some of those on the respective Alliance stations and allow them to tune that time in. I really like that one, in my opinion. Another one that was also brought up, handshakes before finals one during the timeout or skip it. And then do all the event thank yous as well as final awards for finals two. There's a couple other ones that popped up in this thread, as well as some people, noting their opinions on that. But Connor, we'll start with you. Overall, you're a big MC in New England, so you're relatively involved in a lot of event timing and what's needed for that from an event standpoint. If we had to trim time, or what are ways that you could think that would be good ways to optimize events?
Yeah, as an MC, let's shorten the opening ceremonies. I would actually really appreciate that. I hate opening ceremonies with a burning passion. In New England, it's also scheduled for a half hour, but 99% of the time, it's always under by at least 5 to 10 minutes, which is great. So we have a little bit of downtime in between. Teams can get their robots loaded up onto the field for match one. We might be able to start a couple minutes early. That'd be great. Please, I keep that handshake in place. That big thing of gracious professionalism right there. And at least in my opinion, I'm a little bit of a betting man, I guess. But I mean, if we got rid of that handshake, I'm pretty sure Woody would roll in it over in his grave if we got rid of any kind of gracious professionalism right out that window. As morbid as that is, it's but yeah, I'm kind of curious as to what you guys think, because so you guys made it significantly further throughout playoffs this season than I did. Do you guys think when it got to those 15-minute timeouts, do you think that could have been shortened down to even 10 minutes? Because when I emceed an event this year, we would finish our award segment with maybe 6 or 7 minutes left to go, and it's all right, that's a lot of dead time, at least from a volunteer and a spectator point. But for a team competing in those matches, was that time worth it for you guys? Or do you think it's all right, we have a lot of time sitting around?
So, in my opinion, at least, I think the breaks were amazing from a team that was going through that. I thought the 15-minute breaks were a very welcome change. Where I think change could happen is the one that pops to mind is losers bracket finals. In between finals 1 and 2, if both alliances are ready to go, I think you should be able to start early, which I don't think is the case right now. They're going to go through the 15 minutes no matter what. I think if you were able to, do that and be okay, both alliances are ready to go, we can start early. Like you said, after they run the first set of awards, there's 6 minutes left. So I think that would be a welcome change. But Ty, from your perspective, what did you think of the overall breaks, and could time be cut there as you get further into the tournament?
Yeah, the double limb bracket now, there's less variability in the schedule. Sometimes it takes longer than the old bracket did, and sometimes it takes less time, but it almost always takes this same amount of time. I personally don't love having awards in between matches. Quite often we'll be prepping for a match, not listening to the MC, and it's
Right.
oh, some award, and you're oh, what? Scramble around to find 2 kids to go up and get an award while the rest of us are beating the robot back into shape. So yeah, I don't love the double elimination bracket in the first place. And I don't think there's really a place that you can shave time there. Finals before IRI, both alliances were on the field, just kind of joking around for 4 or 5 minutes before we actually got started, just watching the clock countdown. So yeah, I mean, if both alliances are there and ready, yeah, let's go. If they're not, that time is nice to have, especially now that we don't have timeouts anymore. A lot of teams have historically relied on timeouts to be able to get the robot back in competition shape. Nobody likes to play elimination rounds, at full strength. Nobody wants to win that way. Nobody wants to lose that way. So having time, to get your robot back on the field and in competition order is definitely a benefit. And I don't think that that's the place to try to shave time at events. Like, honestly, the biggest place that we lose time is field problems. Like the FMS crashed, half an hour rebooting routers and restarting the FMS, and
gotta do an FMS update. Sorry,
like
right. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that.
The field controller software is, I don't know, a decade old now, and it's probably in need of some updating. Like we've got those old Allen Bradley touchscreen pendants that have been around for literally a decade, that have been knocked over who knows how many times. We've got road cases with Ethernet ports that have been plugged in and out so many times that if a robot bumps the wall too hard, the whole alliance will drop out. Like, I know that a hardware update there is a significant cost for first, but at some point it's got to happen, and fixing some reliability problems there will go a long way towards improving the team experience in general, because nobody likes loading your robot on the field and then sitting there for half an hour while you're resetting the FMS.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Adding one more thing in here. So for our regional friends, this is probably an unpopular opinion, maybe. I don't think regionals need to be 3 days anymore, especially where there's no more bag. So like that first day of the regional, I mean, I've only ever been to one regional in my lifetime, because New England swapped to districts after my freshman year, and I was gonna go to one in 2020, but we all know what happened then. Like a lot of that first day is really just for like practice, right? So does that, where you could have regionals and district events follow that same 2 day schedule. That saves time of, students aren't missing another day of school. Mentors aren't having to take another day off of work. And also that's a lot of commitment for volunteers, especially if it's like for like the SBPLI regionals where they're right in the middle of the week. That's a lot of time taken away from your volunteers.
Right. Yeah. Tyler, you had something to add?
Yeah, well, as the one person who goes to more regionals and districts, and you all are in district play, so yes, absolutely. But I'd also like to pay then $3,000 or $2,500 instead of $5,000 for a regional or something like that, right? If we're going to lose a day, there's going to be cost savings there, and that cost savings should be passed on to the teams then for some sort of registration or something. Now, the issue is that your first regional right is included with your registration, that sort of thing. So I don't quite know how you solve that, but for subsequent
lower the registration.
Sure, maybe, yeah. Yeah, but then district teams are going to be like, well, we pay more than a regional team or something like that. So maybe for subsequent events or something like that, that maybe they only pay $2,000 now. To go to additional regionals or something like that. But yeah, I mean, an entire day for practice, you're right. I don't know if that's necessary for things anymore.
I disagree.
And really, why?
Yeah, so I like the one thing that comes to mind, MSC used to be load in like Wednesday afternoon and then compete Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And this year they changed it to load in Thursday morning at 7 a.m., be there till 7 at night, and then compete Friday, Saturday. In my opinion, and again, this might be because it's not a regional, right? It's the state championship. I missed not being able to be there the entire Wednesday, being able to run 15 practice matches, test every single auto routine we have on the field. Like, I missed that. So I guess from like that perspective, it kind of sucks. But now regional, like it's, at least in my opinion, it's probably, and again, I've only ever been to one, but it should be at the same, competitive or the like high stakes, I guess, as a district championship, because those are the one shot that teams are getting to qualify for the championship, where the DCMP is the same way, sort of. Obviously,
it's not though.
It's not though. The advancement system is totally different, which is a story in itself, and I agree with that. The advancement system and the regional system is garbage, and we could sit here and talk about that for a half hour.
We could do a whole new show on that one.
Right. So, I guess in my perspective, if I was a regional team, I would want that practice day still, and that's again where I wouldn't be wanting to cut in time, but I might have an unpopular opinion in that case.
I don't know, man. I think that's a throwback to when we had to ship our robots or bag our robots, and you needed that one day to get through inspection because your robot's been sitting in a crate for the last month. But now you take your robot home with you, like you should be showing up ready to play. There's no reason that you should get there and not be ready to play.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not, then that's the
Tyler, back in our day, we had to put a robot in a crate and not touch it for the entire time. We didn't make spare parts for that, man.
No, we had to ship the spare parts because we weren't allowed to carry them in. Oh my goodness, the whole practice day is a throwback. Like even in 2-day districts now are not 2-day districts. Like we load in at like noon on the day before, so it ends up being like 2.5 days, and we're still playing till like 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, and regionals, I don't know why anyone's still a regional. Like everyone that goes to districts says districts is the best thing ever. Like if you're Minnesota, I think, California, that's still not districts. Just do it. Just do it. It's not.
It's such a better experience. It's so much of a better experience.
It's better for everyone. I don't understand.
It makes the experience so much better. The competitiveness goes up, and you don't have to win an event or like win EI or Impact to be able to advance to the World Championship.
Right.
You could be a consistent semi-finalist and still qualify.
Yeah. Yep, I totally agree.
The general atmosphere in Ontario drastically improved when we went to districts, because suddenly all of these amazing teams that couldn't win an event but were perennial finalists or perennial semifinalists suddenly will now qualify for championship every single year. And it took off that pressure to having to win an event or hope to be the 24th pick of the draft. It took all that pressure away. District's points advancement is just unbelievably superior in every way. I can't stress that enough.
Like me in New England, like New England was known for our defense, and now like since districts formed for us in 2014, we're now getting like consistently 3 to 5 New England teams on Einstein, and they're an alliance captain or first pick.
The level of competitiveness goes. The bar is just raised, in my opinion. But all right, we'll go ahead and bring Tyler on to draw for that giveaway before we go ahead and wrap up the show.
Yeah, thanks again to the Thrifty Bot for the t-shirt. If you do win, please send me a message either on Discord or admin@firstupdatesnow.com to claim. By the way, do you need your t-shirt size, or I'm just going to pick a random one, i.e. it will be extra small. So the winner of this is going to be Andrew Mundell. Congratulations, Andrew. Just shoot me a message, and we'll get that out to you. And thanks a lot to the Thrifty Bot for providing the awesome t-shirt giveaway.
Yep. Thanks again to our friends at Thrifty Bot. Thank you for tuning into FRC Round Up. Special thanks to all those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation or subscribed here on YouTube. Your support really helps us continue to make great content. Don't forget, you can watch FRC Roundup archived at youtube.com/first updates now and watch live after Mondays after FRC recap during the competition season, or monthly now that we are in the off season. Thank you to Tyler Holtzman, our guest from 2056, for coming on tonight. And on behalf of our producer, Tyler Olds, my co-host, Connor, and all fun correspondents, I'm Nick Jr., and thanks for watching. See you next month, same day, same time, where we take a look at what is going on with FRC Robotics on FRC Roundup. Thanks, everyone.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. At Kettering University, over 30% of the student population was in high school robotics. These same students have received a portion of over $7 million in FIRST scholarship. Scholarship applications will open in September. Get ready to go pro and get more information at kettering.edu/first. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.